Good evening. I'm Bill Maley, Brighton Town Supervisor, and I'm pleased to welcome you to our November 28, 2018 meeting of the Brighton Town Board. As always, we appreciate your participation in the meeting, whether you're here in the room or whether you're watching us on one of our on our cable access channel or streaming on our YouTube channel. Your participation is always welcome, and you will have the opportunity to follow along with all of the same material that we have. If you're here in the room, there is a folder on the rear table that has our agenda and all the supporting materials. And if you're watching at home, you can get all of those same materials on the town's webpage, townofbrighton.org. In a moment, we'll be going to our open forum, but first, let's start with a pledge to the flag. I'll ask Councilmember Wilt to lead us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks, Robin. Again, we will be starting with our open forum, and if you would like to address the board during open forum, please raise your hand. When you come up to the podium, please state your name and address, if you would, please. But if you are watching us remotely, a little bit different tonight. We're having some technical issues, so if you would like to comment during the open forum, please send an email to Bridget Monroe, and that's bridget.monroe@townofbrighton.org. bridget.monroe, MONROE, @townofbrighton.org if you would like to comment remotely during our open forum tonight. And with that, I declare the open forum to be open. Is there anyone that would like to address the board during the open forum? Hearing none, we will move on with approval of the agenda. I know that may be a little fast for those of you out there, so if someone does comment, we'll try to circle back to that. But can I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. Motion to approve and file our minutes for the October 24th and November 14th town board meetings.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. We have one public hearing tonight, and that is the public hearing on the proposed amendments to the special events local law. We conducted a public hearing at the last meeting. We're going to be holding a second public hearing tonight. Dan, has the legal notice been given on this matter?
Yes, Supervisor. It was in the November 22nd edition of the Post.
Thank you. In that case, I declare this public hearing to be open. First, I would like to indicate that as we look at the record of this public hearing tonight, that any record from the last public hearing also be included in this public hearing. And is there anyone that would like to address the town board on this proposed amendment to the special events law? As we discussed last time, the town has for many years declared a special events period almost every year, which grants businesses certain exceptions to various provisions of the town code. The plan with these amendments is to, rather than have that period defined each year at a different time of year, which has generally been around the homecoming celebration, we will now hold a special event period each year, starting on what's become known as Small Business Saturday, the Saturday following Thanksgiving, running through December 31st of each year. Now, the amendments do provide for the option, if the board were to so choose, to set a different period during the year, but if it does not do so, the special events period will be between Small Business Saturday and December 31st. And you know, with the hope and opportunity that our business community, which is so important to our, you know, our character and our success as a community, working with business organizations like the Chamber of Commerce will, you know, take advantage of this period, get creative, and promote Brighton as the great place for shopping that it is. We had Small Business Saturday this past week, so going forward, this will be the new period. So is there anyone that would like to address the board on this matter? Any members of the board that would like to comment?
I think it's a great idea. I've expressed my opinion previously that we should add a day on either end, but I have no problem with it starting on Saturday and ending on December 31st.
Great, great. And, you know, and we'll take that suggestion back and, you know, yeah, exactly. Good. Exactly. Any further comments?
Question.
Sir?
Is it the board's intention to have this law go into effect in 2018?
It was not my intention that it do so, no, because there are no plans for putting it into effect. Obviously, we have the standard language about effective date, and I'm going to suggest, Ken and Dan, that we simply wait to file this until the first of the year.
That was going to be my suggestion as well.
Good. Good catch. Thank you. Any further comments? Hearing none, then I declare this public hearing to be closed. Chris, can you make a motion?
On the matter before us regarding adopting the special events local law with 2018 amendments.
Before you do that, let me just note as well that we do have the negative declaration here, and we did hear back from Monroe County Planning that they had no objections to this local law.
With that. So with respect to the matter before us, I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further comments? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio.
Aye.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Supervisor Maley.
Aye. Next, communications. We have 3 items of communication. The first one is from Jennifer Cesario, Monroe County Comptroller, with our third quarter sales tax report. And our third quarter 2008 sales tax receipts were $1,190,662. That is up actually over 10% from last year's third quarter, which was $1,067,841. So again, we continue to have strong sales tax increases. As you know, that doesn't simply reflect Brighton businesses. It is based on the sharing formula of Monroe County sales tax receipts, but it's always encouraging. We've talked about sales tax and what an important part they are of our budget. They have tended to be fairly stable, and we're always pleased to see a double-digit increase.
Bill, can you review for us how those sales tax revenues are divided up amongst the different towns?
You want me to give you a summary of the Warren Ryan? I'd be happy to do that at the next board meeting. No, seriously. I mean, it's a good question. It's a good question, and let's
Just the general
let's review
basis
that
for
at the
it.
next.
Thanks.
Absolutely, absolutely. We also have communication from Frank Regan, the Conservation Chair of the Rochester Regional Group of the Sierra Club, encouraging us not only to proceed with the establishment of a CCA, but also to do so with a 100% renewable energy default option. And I certainly agree with that, and I anticipate that that's the direction that this board will continue to go, because this is as I've said, the CCA is an opportunity to significantly move the needle in terms of the use of renewable energy, not only for Brighton, but for other communities that also choose to get involved in a CCA. So I agree with that and look forward to continuing down that road. Finally, we also have communication from Cody Dean, who is the chief at the Brighton Volunteer Ambulance. And this letter thanks our Public Works Department. It's a letter to Mike Guyon, our Commissioner of Public Works, in which he gives his appreciation to the department. I know in large part he was referring to the partnership and the support your department gave to BVA as they went through the process of building their addition to the ambulance center at the corner of Westfall and Winton. We were, most of us were at their ribbon cutting just the other day. But it's always nice to get an attaboy, so make sure your whole team that was involved on that project knows. With that, those are our communications tonight. Can I have a motion to receive and file those communications?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Manley?
Aye. Committee reports. Robin, Community Services.
Thanks, Bill. The Community Services Committee met on Wednesday, November 21st at 9:30 a.m. at the Brookside School. Among the items that were discussed were issues related to our parks. In an ongoing effort to control erosion at Corbett's Glen, protective fencing was installed this past fall to provide a visual cue for park attendees to adhere to the trails. The Corbett's Glen fencing is working as intended, I'm happy to report. Additional signage will be installed on the central posts near Postcard Falls to enhance reminders to park attendees regarding the continuing efforts in place to control erosion and sustain the park as a treasured resource for all. Our Superintendent of Parks, Matt Beeman, also has been involved in discussions with a new school-related group, the Arboreal Club. The group would like to plant trees in Brighton area parks, currently focusing on Buckland Park, which is an area of need in terms of tree coverage. I will mention that townwide 25 additional trees were installed in the last year, and we think that the efforts of the Arboreal Club will represent a positive contribution toward the further greening of Brighton. The water situation has been ameliorated at Buckland, but in the future, our park staff will pay special attention to the area surrounding the bridges to ensure that water abatement is working as intended. As people probably noticed, our holiday lights were installed at the gazebo in the center of Town Park this past week. And just as an item of note, our Parks Department has assumed the maintenance over at 12 Corners Gazebo Park grounds from our Highway Department for calendar 2019. All park facilities and grounds have been winterized for the season. Our recreation programs also had updates. Our registration for fall activities continue, and the winter-spring brochure is currently being finalized, and I'll have some notes on changes to that brochure later. Our swimming programs began on November 26th. We also had a short update on the winter farm market. As you'll probably recall, back in June, we had all bids for construction services to renovate the existing structure site were rejected, and a new authorization was granted to solicit proposals for a drastically reduced project in scope. Those bids were received and opened, and we will be addressing the bid awards this evening. We're already working on current specs for the phase 2 of the project. We also had updates with regard to Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity Advisory Committee. On November 20th, FACTS reviewed a request for proposals for a consultant to Firstly, develop an inclusion, diversity, and equity action plan. Secondly, to facilitate meetings of the IDEA board. And thirdly, to review town policies and procedures as they relate to inclusion, diversity, and equity. The RFP incorporated edits made by the town supervisor, special advisor to the supervisor for inclusion and diversity, Sheila Gaddis, our IDEA board chair, Felicia Garcia Harstein, and the current town council liaison to the IDEA board, which is myself. A resolution to approve the RFP for issuances before the town board this evening. And hopefully the IDEA board will be up and running early in the new year. We also addressed the community choice aggregation law and updates to that. The supervisor did present an MOU for developing an RFQ and seeking administration for the community choice aggregation plans for the towns of Brighton, Pittsford, the village of Pittsford, and the town of Arundecoit. The intent is to have an RFQ that applies to all 4 towns and to achieve economies of scale eventually. We had a beautification committee update as well. All 13 interviews for the beautification committee are now complete, and members of town board have submitted their lists of preferred candidates to the supervisor, and we expect to notify those selected sometime in the upcoming weeks and can start convening the group. With regard to our Route 96 lane reconfiguration, project, actually the DOT's project. It appears that the DOT has now completed the center lane striping and its significant resurfacing of the roadway for the East Avenue Road Diet. As yet, the DOT has not lined the shoulders. Those have yet to be delineated, but despite construction having been concluded, there have been traffic jams on the thoroughfare at peak usage times, in particular in the evenings, but we're hoping that as people adjust to the new lane configuration, traffic will improve. We had a short update on the Brighton Safe Streets for All. The decals or magnets are in design phase for the pace car programming that we've mentioned a few times. Matt Beeman, our Parks superintendent, will put us in touch with a logo designer. And we briefly discussed that there is another program for traffic safety that functions in much the same manner and is supported by a number of community organizations and safety partners. It's called the Drive to Be Better program. We compared and contrasted the respective pledges between the Pace Car program and the Drive to Be Better programs and determined that the Pace Car pledge is far more comprehensive in nature and probably better suited to the traffic issues that we have in Brighton. And we discussed that we did take action on the police discipline law of 2018 at the November 14th, 2018 meeting of the town board. And also that we started public hearings for our new small business Saturday and special events law, and those have concluded this evening. So one final matter of one new item that we did discuss was a council member on their corner program. And that was related to my hearing a familiar refrain when discussing town programming and offerings and the services that we have with friends in the community. And they're not always aware of the great things that are happening in the town of Brighton. And while we do offer a number of resources to seek information via social media, the website, the recreation newsletter, et cetera, it's always easier, I think, to have the information maybe presented to you as opposed to seeking it out. So we have a number of resources in terms of community engagement through our neighborhood associations, in particular our farmers market and our other events and activities where we can be more accessible to the community. And so we're going to be consulting with Sue Gardner-Smith, who will be attending our next Community Services Committee meeting to provide an update on this farmers market, to investigate a regular spot at the farmers market for our town board members to be accessible to the community. And that concluded our discussions. I do want to mention a few upcoming events. This Friday, our Veterans Luncheon will occur from 12 to noon p.m. at Brighton Town Park Lodge, 777, or I'm sorry, next Friday,
that's- I was
Friday,
gonna say
December
December
7th. I'm sorry, Friday, December 7th. Sorry about that. At the Brighton Town Park Lodge, 777 Westfall Road, from 12 to 2 p.m. Also this Friday at Brighton Town Park Lodge, our Friday with Frosty event will occur from 6:30 to 8 p.m. In addition, we have scheduled our dates for our spring recycling programs. The semi-annual DEA Pharmaceutical Take-Back Day will be Saturday, April 27th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. The Brighton Little League opening day will be on Saturday, May 4th from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. The Brighton Annual Clean Sweep for 2019 will be here at Town Hall on Saturday, May 11th, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And the semi-annual Electronics Recycling and Document Shredding event will be at our Highway Department, 1941 Elmwood Avenue, on Saturday, May 18th, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. We'll have additional reminders as we approach those dates. Our next meeting of the Community Services Committee will be on Wednesday, December 19th at 9:30 a.m. at the Brookside School. As always, members of the public are welcome to attend.
Thanks, Robin. Jason, Finance.
Yes, the Finance and Administrative Services Committee met last Tuesday, November 20th, and actually this time we had two members of the public that came and joined our meeting to discuss the proposed memorandum of understanding between the towns of Brighton, Arundequoit, Pittsford, and the Village of Pittsford that will be discussed in further detail on tonight's agenda. And each of the other items that were discussed during our FASC meeting will appear on tonight's agenda. In addition, we did discuss and review the 2019 draft FASC meeting schedule, and we adopted that. So we'll be on the Tuesdays before each town board meeting at 3:30 in the afternoon, with the exception of the months of June, July, and August, when we will be meeting at 8:30 in the morning, and exceptions were made.
On Wednesdays.
On Wednesdays, I'm sorry, Wednesdays at 8:30 in the morning. And we made modifications for our February meeting, so it wouldn't conflict with the Association of Towns meeting in New York, and also for the Rosh Hashanah holiday in October. So that will be adopted and presented. And our next meeting will be next Tuesday, December 4th. We meet at 3:30 in the afternoon in the Stage Conference Room here at Town Hall, and the public is invited to attend.
Thank you. Public Safety, Chris.
The next meeting of Public Safety will be December 11th at 8 o'clock a.m., and the public is invited. For Public Works, our next meeting is December 4th at 9 o'clock.
Thank you. And again, as we've said before, but each of our four town board committees meets monthly, with the exception of the Finance Committee, which meets twice a month, about a week before every town board meeting. Thank you for all those committee reports. New business, reading and approval of claims. Jason.
Yes, Bill, earlier today I reviewed claims totaling $981,580.11. Notable claims include to our election inspectors, and there are 163 of them, for services for the November 6th general election in the amount of $33,863, which represents their base salary plus a stipend for being site chair, plus reimbursement of some training costs they may have incurred. And we thank them for making everything run smoothly and for their service on that very long day for them. Also to the Depository Trust Company in the amount of $48,188.16, representing payment of principal and interest for our bonds for sewer equipment, Blossom Road valve work, and the Susquehanna Drainage Project. Also to Van Bortle Ford in the amount of $41,279.82 for the purchase of a highway cube-style truck that was approved in our CIP and our 2018 budget. And also to Villager Construction in the amount of $286,900.52 for services related to the Blossom Road Sanitary Sewer Project, which has been a big project we've been reviewing for quite some time and have finally gotten done this year.
And actually, the doing it was very quick.
It was quick.
It was a big project, and the
Planning and the
villager did a
budgeting.
great job.
Yeah, in fact, it was about maybe less than a week.
Yeah,
10 days.
yeah, about
Yeah.
10 days, I think.
Weather cooperated. So the claims all appear to be in order, and I move that they be approved.
Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Any discussion?
Just note that we get reimbursed by the county for the election inspectors, and actually, we submitted that invoice reimbursement this morning. So
I was going to say,
it'll
you
be
got
coming
my
along. Yep.
follow-up email. Great, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFanzio.
Aye.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Supervisor Maley.
Aye. Chris?
Next item is for acceptance of a donation from W. Barry Gilbert in the amount of $1,000 and amending the 2019 Police Department operating budget by increasing the revenue account, gifts and donations, and expense account, programs and supplies by that similar amount. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
Any, Mark, anything you'd like to say about?
Mr. Gilbert donated to the police department shortly after the TBK vigil, and when I called him, I told him I'd be doing some programs for houses of worship and security, and he was pleased with that.
And we're really grateful, as we do, always saying, as I know you told Mr. Gilbert, you know, a donation like that is just a wonderful expression of support. It's not necessary, but we are really grateful for it, especially under the circumstances. And I do appreciate the, you know, the mission to which you're going to put it. Thank you. We have a motion and a second to accept that donation. Further discussion? Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFanzio.
Aye.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Supervisor Maley.
Aye. Jason?
Yes, the next matter seeks to authorize the supervisor to execute a contract with BLM Construction Company Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $266,100 for renovation of the Winter Farmers Market barn. I move we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
This is, as Robin was mentioned, this is the bid proposal for the winter market, which includes a number of optional items. We weren't sure whether the bids were going to come in at a level that we could do all of those options, and it did. And this is a not-to-exceed number that fits within our budget as we go forward with the grant resources that we have been promised, and it's a great start. I'm excited. I know market folks are excited. Sue Gardner-Smith is very, very excited, and again, as mentioned before, we are well underway in terms of putting the specs together to put bids out for the second phase, which will largely be infrastructure work, parking, trail, utility facilities to serve the land market. So great news. We have a motion and a second on that. Further discussion? Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFanzio.
Aye.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Supervisor Maley.
Aye. Chris?
Next item is for authorization to solicit a request for bidders to upgrade the existing lighting system in garage bays and salt barn of the town operations center. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
This is pretty self-explanatory. It will LED lighting over there, and one more sustainability step. Mike, anything more than that you need to?
We have a consultant on board that's preparing the documents, getting ready to put them out to bid, and yeah, it'll
Great.
be a nice project. It'll save us money, save us energy, and reduce our greenhouse footprint.
Great, thank you. Further discussion? Hearing none. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFanzio.
Aye.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Supervisor Maley.
Aye. Jason?
Yes, the next matter seeks to authorize a budget transfer in the amount of $2,690 from the Highway Department's landfill postage charges account and $413.76 from the landfill printing charges account to the Highway Department's facility general liability insurance account in an amount totaling $3,103.76 for insurance used to provide mandated financial responsibility in owning a bulk underground petroleum storage facility. I move we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
And Jason, your summary, summed it up pretty well. But Mike, do you want to, anything further to say? We do obviously have the storage facility there, which is our fueling
There's not a whole lot more to add.
station. We do fuel our vehicles right there, and in fact, we also fuel some of our the vehicles that are operated by some of our sister agencies. So we have a motion and a second on that. Any further commentary? If none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePoncio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Robin?
The next item seeks to authorize to solicit a request for professional qualification and RFQ for consulting services related to the Climate Action Plan. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
Again, pretty self-explanatory. Our climate action plan is something Mike has talked about, we've talked about, and it's an important part of our sustainability efforts. Any further comments? Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePoncio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Chris?
Next item is for authorization to solicit a request for bidders to demolish the structure at 202 Norman Road. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
This is a property that we have identified as being an unsafe structure. We have been in touch with the owner of the property, and unfortunately, to date, that owner has not followed through with, there have been expressions of intent to demolish the property, but frankly, it's important that it be demolished, and we will be seeking bids to demolish that property. We continue to hope that the owner will demolish it themselves, but if not, we will have a bid and we will have to proceed with the demolition. They have been given notice of that fact. We have been, I believe, very patient in communicating our position, our desire, and one way or another, that structure will come down. We have a motion and a second for that. Anything further from you, Mike? And if not, Dan, go ahead and call the roll.
Councilmember DePoncio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Jason?
Yes, the next matter seeks to authorize a budget transfer in the amount of $1,150 from the Public Works Department Facilities Operations Facility Improvements account to the Facility Operations Equipment Rental Services account for the rental of a lift to install lighting in the police storage area. I move we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePoncio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Robin?
The next item seeks authorization to solicit a request for proposal, RFP, for consulting services related to the Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, and Advisory Board. I move that we adopt a resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
And again, this was discussed earlier, the variety of consulting services that we anticipate using for the IDEA board. Further discussion? Hearing none. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePoncio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Robin, the next item?
The next item seeks to authorize the supervisor to execute a memorandum of understanding, or MOU, among the towns of Brighton, Pittsford, and Arundecoit, and the village of Pittsford for the proposed Community Choice Aggregation Plan. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
This is a non-binding memorandum, but it indicates an intent to look to work collaboratively among those 4 jurisdictions towards a community choice aggregation, first developing an RFP for administrative services in connection with the formation of that CCA. And again, as we have discussed, it would be a CCA, community choice aggregation program, with a default of 100% renewable electricity. And you know, I think one of the important things, we've talked about CCA, sometimes we get into these acronyms. CCA, community choice aggregation, is a plan that's been approved. It's a concept, really, that's been approved by the Public Service Commission, based largely on an experience in Westchester County, which was the pilot. But there are communities throughout New York that are looking at setting community choice aggregation plans up. They're an opportunity for aggregated purchasing of electricity and natural gas, for that matter, although we're at this point focusing on electricity, and specifically renewable electricity, for residential customers and for small business customers. And it's my hope and anticipation you're going to be hearing a lot more about community choice aggregation here in Brighton in 2019. It is probably the most important thing we can do as a community to become more sustainable. We talked a moment ago about our climate action plan. This adoption of a community choice aggregation plan in Brighton will be a significant step towards achieving the goals set forth in our climate action plan. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I just wanted to say that I think it's so important that we're adopting this MOU because of the focus on 100% renewable. And these communities represent 40,000 households approximately, and that is a lot to move towards 100% renewable energy. So I think that the MOU serves the purpose of not only cooperating, but maintaining our individual independence in terms of each town and the priorities of each community. So I'm happy to move forward.
I'm also happy to see that by executing this MOU with our neighboring municipalities, it demonstrates that our neighboring municipalities like Brighton are committed to the common goal of 100% renewable clean energy, and using aggregation as a means in order to achieve that. I think that aggregation, I mean, if we have more households available, that there may be economies of scale that we can take advantage of in order to get the best possible program for our residents.
And frankly, I think one of the economies of scale really is the process of making people aware of what community choice aggregation is. The opportunity, that's going to be an important part of the administration of the plan. The pre-cutover work is so important. So, and that's something, again, that we have the opportunity. Again, it's not binding, this memorandum of understanding, and if there is something that one of the communities, more than one of the communities, doesn't like what they see, that's okay. They can make a decision to step back, proceed on their own or otherwise. But it's certainly my hope that by working together, among the other things we'll be able to accomplish is educating the public on what community choice aggregation is and why we're going down the road towards 100% renewable energy that we are.
Bill, I'm pleased to see Brighton take the lead in this, and thrilled that we've got now these 3 other municipalities. And so y'all come. A lot of other towns out there, and I think this is an idea whose time has come.
And there are other towns that are looking at it. I know Penfield's had some discussions. There are some small villages outside of Monroe County that have gotten involved in community choice aggregation. So let's see what we can do throughout this area, starting right here in Brighton.
Hopefully we'll create some inertia. That's great.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Jason?
Yes, the next matter seeks to approve a bond resolution in the amount of $54,100 to finance the acquisition, construction, and installation of lighting improvements for the Browncroft Lighting District. I move we adopt the resolution as prepared by bond counsel to the town.
Second.
This is a new lighting district, and it's in a neighborhood adjoining the city of Rochester where they have put in some new lighting, and our homes in the Brighton part of the Browncroft neighborhood wanted to add comparable lighting to those streets. So to do that, this resolution would authorize us to borrow $54,000, but instead of what we often do, which is, talk to our municipal advisor and issue bonds publicly, we will be doing an interfund borrowing, and this bond resolution will authorize to do that. Effectively, this new district will be borrowing from one of our other existing funds, money that we have on hand. Discussion?
See, this involves 10 parcels over on Corwin and Windermere, and they're willing to undertake the expense to improve their neighborhood, and I think that's terrific.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do get questions. People ask us periodically, how do you get streetlights in a neighborhood that doesn't have streetlights? Well, one of the things I have to tell people is that there is a fairly significant expense involved. But this is a situation where this neighborhood felt that it made sense for them. By borrowing, we spread the cost over an extended period of time.
30 years.
And we're able to borrow at the town's relatively low tax-exempt interest rate. So we have a motion and a second. Further discussion on that? Hearing none. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Robin, next item, please.
Sorry. Scroll back up, sorry. The next item seeks to authorize approval of the proposed 2019 Town Board meeting dates for the year of 2019. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
And it speaks for itself, and as was commented on before for committee meeting, we do work to avoid High Holy Day conflict in October, and the holiday meetings in December remain to be determined. Otherwise, we will be meeting on the second and fourth Wednesdays. I would note that as we do each year, there will also be an organizational meeting for the board on January 2nd, 2019, Tuesday at noon. We have a motion and a second. Jason, did you second that? I thought so. Further discussion? Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye, and Robin, go ahead and do the holiday schedule as well,
Okay.
please.
The next item seeks to authorize approval of the proposed 2019 Town of Brighton holiday schedule for the year of 2019. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
Again, the holiday schedule is as listed. If there are no questions or comments, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Chris?
Next is to authorize the supervisor to execute a stormwater maintenance agreement with the Kennex School of Musical Artistry for the property at 2077 South Clinton Avenue. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
Mike, anything you want to say about that project?
Real quick, they're expanding their business, so they're being very successful. It's good news that they're expanding their business. This stormwater agreement gives the town the ability to enforce their their stormwater infrastructure, and also if things don't work out, it gives the town the ability to go in and recover some of its costs.
Very good. Discussion? Questions? Hearing none. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio.
Aye.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy.
Aye. Jason?
Yes, the next matter seeks to authorize the supervisor to execute a contract to perform snow and ice control for the undedicated section of Willard Avenue in the Pinnacle Hill subdivision. I move we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
This is, normally we do not provide snow and ice control service on undedicated roads. However, the only reason that Willard, this section of Willard, is not yet dedicated is because the final coat of asphalt has not been laid. This is a new street, part of the Pinnacle Hill subdivision. Because it is the expectation that when that work is done in the next construction season, next spring, then, and only then, we don't accept newly constructed streets for dedication until they've been finished. At that point, it will be a dedicated street. So in the meantime, we execute this agreement that will authorize us to provide plowing and salting services on that street this season. Mike, how did I do?
Good. Ken wants me to also elaborate.
Yeah.
The nice part about this dedicated street is it provides a turnaround for our vehicles.
Yes.
Currently, our vehicles back up onto Highland Avenue they plow down and back up out. The new section does provide a T-turnaround, allows our vehicles to come out facing forward, which is a huge.
And that is a big improvement. We have a couple of streets where that is an issue, and making sure this one gets built right the first time is a good thing. So we have that motion and a second. Any further discussion? Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio.
Aye.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy.
Aye. Chris?
Next item is to set a public hearing date for December 12, 2018 for proposed tree removals at, and we've got a number of trees here, 19 Motor Lane, 15 Creekdale Drive, 47 Laconia Parkway, 69 and 144 Branford Road, 89, 78, 70, and 83 Kimbark Road. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
We never like to have to cut down trees. Most of these are silver maples. We have reports on each of them. This is pursuant to our tree law. Most of these trees will, after they are removed, there will be replacements. If you look at the hazard evaluation forms that we do anytime we do this, you will see that these are trees that are really in need of immediate action. So we'll be holding that public hearing on December 12th.
And we are taking down other trees as well, but these, because of their size, require a public hearing.
Correct.
And I see they're 3 and 4 foot and more in diameter.
Yep.
These
Yep.
are pretty substantial.
Big
mature.
old trees. And again, I would note most of them are silver maples, a couple of Norway maples, and as we know, we've seen it in a couple of our neighborhoods. Silver maples they're big, beautiful trees. They grow quickly, good canopy. But when they get fully grown, they do start to decay. They do become weak, and that's what's happened here. So we have that motion and second. Further discussion? Dan, hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio.
Aye.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy.
Aye. Matters of the town supervisor, we do have our monthly expense and revenue report for the month of October. Can I have a motion to receive and file that report, please?
So moved.
Second.
And as always, when we get to the end of the quarter, or in this case, the end of the year, we'll get a more detailed report from our finance director. But for now, we'll simply receive and file the October report. We have a motion and a second. Any comments? Hearing none. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio.
Aye.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy.
Aye.
And Supervisor, I'd like to just note that the full reports are available on the website for each month.
Great point, thank you. Very important.
Supervisor, I'd also like to, I'm reviewing that meeting date, the public meeting date for December 12th. I'm trying to, because we have to give 20 days' notice. I don't think we're going to have enough time to provide
Ooh.
the adequate notice.
Okay,
So we may want to amend that resolution.
well, then,
Proposed
that was a motion made by Chris. If we can change that date, then we're going to have to change it to the first meeting in January.
Correct.
Someone have their calendar.
through it here. Would be the 9th, I believe.
9th.
Yes, the 9th.
All right. Then,
I accept
can I
that
have a
amendment.
friendly amendment? It's a friendly amendment, and Robin, you seconded. You're good with that?
Yeah.
Then I will ask the clerk to call the roll on that motion as amended to set the public hearing date for January 9th, 2019 for those tree removals.
Councilmember DeFazio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Manley?
Aye, good catch. Thank you, Mike. Okay, speaking of trees, trees are beautiful, trees are wonderful. Leaves fall from trees.
Yeah.
And this time of year, that becomes a real challenge, particularly in a year like this one. I think with the snow we had today, but particularly the snow we had the week after Veterans Day, which was a very heavy snow, and which didn't melt. You know, usually in November, even on those occasions when you get a pretty good snowstorm, it warms up to 50 in a day or two. That didn't happen. And we had freezing temperatures. We all remember how cold it was on Thanksgiving. We had really had freezing, below freezing temperatures most of the time for the next 2 weeks or so. And that did make it difficult on our highway crews picking up leaves. It also, those storms, that storm, the storm today, forced us to temporarily devote our attention to snow and ice control to keep our streets safe. We will be back tomorrow, Mike, picking up our leaves. And we know it's, you know, you look at those piles in front of your lawn. Mike and I met with some folks in one of our neighborhoods just this morning to talk about leaf pickup, the options that folks have in terms of whether they choose to containerize their leaves or whether they leave them in bulk. We fully understand that at this time of the season, you know, Veterans Day, we had that whole weekend. We had great weather. People were out raking leaves, myself included. And, you know, the magnitude of the leaves in our heavily treed neighborhoods really makes bagging, containerizing leaves a hard thing to do. We'll always encourage you to containerize small quantities. Don't fear the fact that it has snowed, the fact that it's snowed pretty hard a couple times does not mean that our crews are not going to continue their leaf pickup work. As I said, they'll be back out tomorrow. As always, you can look on our website. There's a special page with calendars for both bulk leaf pickup but also containerized pickup. Containerized pickup is more frequent, and that's one more reason we encourage you to containerize particularly smaller quantities. One of the other things you'll also see on that page are some reminders, and the first one that we always try to stress, and it's true whether you're doing them yourselves or whether you have a landscape company, please do not pile the leaves in the street for a whole bunch of reasons. One is that they will be much more likely to clog our storm drains, potentially causing neighborhood flooding. They pose a hazard to people who are walking or riding their bikes. It's a little cold to ride your bike this time of year, but there are still some people that do. And having leaves in the street make it difficult. Leaves in the street, particularly in neighborhoods that have no sidewalks, are especially problematic. they're not allowed. It's illegal to put any kind of obstruction in the street. So, it makes it hard on our snowplows. Our snowplows generally try not to plow leaves back up into your front lawn, but it does happen. But as they try to avoid that, sometimes it makes it hard really to get two well-plowed lanes on some of our narrower streets. So for all those reasons, we do ask, please leave your leaves on your lawn, either on your main part of your lawn, or if you do have a sidewalk, the tree lawn between the sidewalk and your street. Very, very important to do that. I want to give the community an update on the status of our pending town board appointment. We have interviewed a number of candidates who, in response to our request that people send us a letter and a resume, did so. We have one more interview to conduct next week for someone who had been unavailable to interview with us. And once we finish those interviews, we will be in a position to appoint someone to the town board seat before the end of the year. So I just wanted to let people know that we miss Jim Vogel, and it won't be possible to replace him. But it is important that we have a fully staffed town board, and we will do that. That's all I have under matters of the supervisor. Matters of the attorney to the town. Ken?
Yes, thank you. So that you don't have to do it at the next meeting, Supervisor, the Moore and Ryan distribution.
Oh, all right. Very good.
So, as you know, state sales tax is 4%. In Monroe County, we've added an additional 4%, so your total sales tax here is 8%. The county share, the 4% portion of that sales tax, is divided, and I'll tell you the rough division. Roughly 31% of that 4% goes to the city of Rochester, and another 31% stays with the county of Monroe. About 21% of that goes to the towns, about 15% of it goes to the school districts, and about 2% of it goes to the districts. Now, if you want to hear the actual formula, I could go through it in about 10 minutes, if you want to hear that.
General criteria for division amongst the towns, is it sales in the town, or population, or number of households? Or?
So how that 21% is divided within the town, I don't have that in front of me.
But we'll get that.
We'll get that too.
But I think it is important to note, it is not just based on our town's sales. It is based on an aggregation of countywide. But having said that, we just celebrated Small Business Saturday. We've adopted this special events local law. There really is something to be said for shopping in Brighton. It helps our economy. I had just a more fun than ought to be legal, very honestly, this past weekend. On Friday, admittedly, it was the day before Small Business Saturday, but that's Record Store Day. And we have one of the great independent record stores right on Monroe Avenue, the Bop Shop. Tom Cohn is the owner of that business. And on Friday, to celebrate Record Store Day, and they open with all kinds of collectible records and whatnot, but I had the opportunity to serve as a guest DJ. And, I'm a music guy, and I got to play all sorts of records, both from my record collection. This was strictly vinyl. This is Record Store Day. This is not CD Day or, iTunes Day. This is vinyl. So I had the opportunity to play, just a whole range of different music, a lot of it mine, some of it from the Bop Shop's own inventory. But what was really, for me, really cool about it is that Tom was able to get a couple of really great musicians who were also in the store, promoting the Bop Shop, promoting Record Store Day. Gary Lewis. Those of us with as much gray hair as I have remember Gary Lewis and the Playboys. They were very popular in the mid-'60s. Gary lives in the Rochester area now, so Gary was at the store. And following that, Barron's Whitfield. Barron's Whitfield and the Savages is his band, and they are great. It's hard to describe. At Barron's, we're actually, our birthdays are very, very close. We are almost exactly the same age. I didn't recognize him at first. He looked like a fairly studious guy there shopping in the record bins. But he's got a style all his own, and if you like popular music, I encourage you to take a listen. And if you like the oldies, go back and listen to some Gary Lewis. They're both wonderful people and wonderful musicians. But that's the opportunity to promote local businesses here in Brighton. We just had McGregor's open up in Brighton. We have the 12 Corners. I think we have capacity is full as it has been in those various plazas as long as I can remember. And having those businesses there on the avenue in central locations, walkable locations, contributes tremendously to the stability of our community. So yes, we share sales tax, but shop in Brighton, shop small. Matters of the town clerk,
I have nothing this evening.
matters of the town board.
I have a few rec announcements, as usual.
Good.
As I mentioned, the fall season is coming to a close, but there are several programs for your family to continue to take advantage of for the last few half days of school during December break. We're still accepting registration in the following youth programs: half-day hoopla, babysitters training, home alone safety, learn to ski and snowboard, December recess camp. As always, registration is required for our programs through the Brighton Rec Department, and the space is limited. Registration may be completed online, by mail, or in person at the Recreation Department. Again, our website is www.townofbrighton.org/rec, R-E-C. I noticed some special events that we have coming up, but I did want to bring attention to our new winter and spring brochure. The Recreation Department has been diligently working to refresh our brochure layout and its concept to better serve our community and increase the engagement among current patrons, enhance the ease of use, and expand the number of registrations for our programming. To that end, the upcoming winter and spring brochure will be reorganized into new categories that are more in keeping with the current interests that people are expressing. We will no longer be offering our programming categorized by participants or age groups, but instead the categories will be more activity focused. So our renamed or new categories include school breaks, the school break section, which is a new category that will highlight all activities happening on days off from school. Our health and wellness section that was previously our adult sport and fitness section will include fitness activities like Payo, Tai Chi, disc golf, yoga, Zumba, etc. And our lifelong learning section was previously known as the adult program section. This section will include instructional programs like hand lettering, colored pencils, dog training, boater safety. And our last new section will be cards and games. This will place all the card and game-related activities in one section as opposed to spreading them all over in different categories by age group. Out of consideration to those who are used to our normal layout, there will be call-outs in each of the sections where certain classes are accustomed to being placed, so folks can look in the new areas. All of our rec staff had input into this process and feel that this is a good move for the department and the brochure, but we know that change is hard. A lot of areas have been consolidated for greater interest across multiple age groups, and the winter spring special events have also been renamed to reflect greater inclusivity in their titles. We're going to be announcing our new programming that has been renamed the Family Bingo, the Family Spring Fling, and the Bunny Bash. And our other events and classes will also be named with greater inclusion in mind. We look forward to input from the public on our new brochure format and programs. Please do contact our Recreation Department if you have any questions, and they will be happy to assist you. That phone number is 585-784-5260.
Thanks, Robin. Yeah, I think especially, the age distinction, there are programs that, previously have been, indicated as senior programs, but a lot of them are programs that people of any age might enjoy participating. To some extent, it reflects the time of day that they're offered, but even so, there are programs that, some of the activities you talked about, obviously 80-year-olds can practice yoga just as well as 30-year-olds can. And they provide health benefits for whatever your age. So I do think it's really well thought out by the department. And we talked last year as well, here in this room about the titles for some of the events that did not, A, they didn't reflect our practice, but B, they sent a message about inclusion. We weren't sending the right message. We had a dance. We had what used to be called a daddy-daughter dance, and it long since was not a daddy-daughter dance. But we wanted to make that clear as part of the title, that this was really just a family celebration, and the family members having the opportunity to dance, to go to a special night out, and it could be a mommy daughter, it could be a grandfather daughter, it could be an aunt daughter, it could be a special friend daughter, whatever it might be. This better reflects who we are as a community. So I'm really pleased that the department did this. Any other matters of the board? Oh, matters of council again. Yes, sir.
By population.
By population.
By
It
population.
is completely
Allocated by population.
Good. Thank
Allocated by the population based upon the last federal census. That's how the tax revenues are allocated.
Didn't take 10 minutes, that was nice, Ken.
Can I have a motion to go into executive session to discuss the employment and appointment of particular people?
So moved.
Second.
Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio.
Aye.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Supervisor Manley.
Aye. Thank you, everybody. Our next board meeting will be on December 12th at 7 p.m. right here. Just let me give everybody a heads up. We have canceled. We will not be holding a second board meeting during the month of December. So after that meeting on December 12th, our next meeting after that will be the organizational meeting on January 2nd at noon, but again, here in this room. But we will, in any event, we'll be back December 12th. Have a great evening, and we'll see you then.